fall, y'all. Welcome to my modern homestead. If you don't already know, my name is Janet, and I'm so happy you're here. Today we're working on two fun fall projects, and they both involve butternut squash or pie pumpkins. And I've had this idea floating around in my head for a butternut squash soup, so we're going to try it today. And I'm doing a charcuterie board, and I need pumpkin butter, and I don't want to go buy it. I want to make my own. So we have the pumpkins, and both of these I need to cut up and get them in the oven to bake so that they're ready to use for what we need. Let's go. Okay, I forgot to mention, these butternut squash are ones we grew in our garden during the spring. The pumpkins I did purchase. I did not grow pumpkins. Y'all, this is my least favorite part of cooking with pumpkins or squashes. It's the cutting them. And so, if these don't cut easy, where I can scoop out the insides, I'm just going to bake them whole. But look, that one did just right. Okay. Now, when you buy a butternut squash in the store, they are normally much bigger than these. But this is what we got from the garden, and so this is what we're using. I don't need a lot, but what I'm doing is just scooping out the insides the best I can. And this part will actually go to the chickens. They will love it. All right, and then I'm going to take this and sit it upside down on a parchment paper lined baking pan. I'm not worrying about peeling it because after it bakes, the insides will scoop right out of the skin. Sometimes you can just actually peel the skin away. And in the neck of a butternut squash, you don't have the seeds. The seeds are only in the bowl of a butternut squash. And the pumpkin, we will do the exact same way. A lot of times these smaller ones are much easier. Well, that's weird. Look, you normally don't see that in the neck of a butternut. Maybe because it was small. I don't know. Look, that's so strange. Oh well. Just scoop it out like you do the bowl. It's so cool here. It has been all week. So I think this is the perfect time to try this soup. That, and I don't know what else to fix for supper, so why not? All right, I won't bore you. I'll just finish these up and we'll be back. Okay, we've got all of the squash cut up. Now, it's time to start on the pumpkins. And I'm just going to be completely honest. If this does not cut easily, I'm leaving it whole. And we'll just dig out the middle once it comes out of the oven. I don't even know where to start. Not too bad. Yeah. Let's see. Come on, little pumpkin. There we go. Now, we're going to do this just the same way. We'll scoop out the middle, and I'll have to get another pan because I have, what, 3 of these? And they're not all going to fit. And that's perfectly okay. We'll just do 2 pans. Let the seeds scoop out just like with the squash, very easily. And we're not going to do the pumpkin butter today. I will do a separate video for that. My hands are slimy. So again, I'm not going to bore you. You get the gist. Y'all can scrape out a pumpkin. Just that easy. And I just use a spoon. Get out what you can. Don't worry about the rest. And if your children are wanting to help you with this, oh, please let them. But teach them to hold the spoon like so and not by the handle, or you'll end up with a lot of bent spoons because it is tough. Okay, so see, that's good enough. And we'll just lay it on the pan upside down just like the squashes. I was having trouble with the other one because of this hard middle part right here. The pumpkin wanted to cling with those hard little center pieces. But once you get those detached, it's really easy to scoop this out. And if you carve pumpkins for Halloween, that part is usually cut out when you cut off the top, so it's not so hard. There we go. We'll just scrape it out and clean it out just a little bit more to get the rest of those seeds. And I've got this pan full, so while I work on the other two pumpkins, I'm going to go ahead and put these in the oven. I've got it set to 350. You can do up to 425. Just, you don't want to burn your squash if you're going to put it in something. You're not really roasting it just to eat plain. And there's really no set time. It depends on the size of what you're working with. If you're working with larger ones, you're going to need probably an hour or more. These butternuts are really small, so they may only take 30 minutes, but the way you check it is just use a fork, and when it pierces the skin very easily, you're done. So let's get these in the oven. There we go, all done. So let's get these in the oven, and we'll be back when everything's done baking. Okay. Now I just pulled these out of the oven. The pumpkin is starting to get soft, but the squash is done. Sorry. Get down here where you can see. And see, the fork will easily go right through it. So what I'm going to do is take the squash off of the pan, leave the pumpkins, pop them back in the oven. And these will let them cool down until we can handle them and get the skin off. I just finished washing the bowl. I should have just left it. That's all right. It'll wash again. For some reason, that's the only one that didn't get soft. So we'll just leave it on the pan for a few more minutes and pull it out. Oh, accidentally touched the pan. We're just moving the pumpkin. All right, back in the oven it goes. Okay, let's check out the pumpkin. Oh yes, it's perfect. Okay, that pumpkin is done. The other pumpkin, I'm going to leave it for just a few more minutes because we put it in after we put these in. They're almost ready. But now what I'm going to do is take our butternut squash and scoop it out of the skins. And I'm going to weigh this out. I want about 28 ounces, I think that's right, of the pumpkin. Because I'm using a recipe that's similar to my tomato bisque. And that recipe calls for 28 ounces of tomatoes, crushed tomatoes. So it doesn't have to be exact, but I needed some kind of guide. And if that looks like too much, or if we don't have enough, we're not going to worry about it. And we'll just go from there. So let's get that done. Okay, the way I'm going to do this is actually put my bowl on the scale and turn it on. That way it zeroes out the weight of the bowl. And I'm just going to take pieces of the butternut squash, and I actually have a grapefruit spoon that has this little serrated point on it, and we'll just use it to scoop out the pulp. Just like that. I won't make y'all sit here and watch this. I'll turn you off until we get to the amount of pumpkin, or the amount of squash we need. Okay, we are just about done scooping out the pumpkin. And when I get done with this, what I'm going to do is chop up a small onion and 1 rib of celery. Look there, that's just what we need. And then I'm going to take probably about 3 pieces of bacon and chop those into small pieces. Just make sure when you're doing the squash to get the skins off. Just a few pieces of the bacon, and then I'm going to saute the onion, the bacon, and the celery all together. Y'all, I only had a few pieces of the squash left. It's not enough to do anything else with. I'm just adding it to this, so we'll have a little bit extra of the butternut squash. That's not a problem because I don't have a recipe really. We're just eyeballing this, and this is not a soup. I keep calling it a soup, and I apologize. This will be more like a bisque instead of a soup, as it will have the onions, the celery. We'll put in garlic and some cream at the end. And after everything is all cooked together, we're going to take the immersion blender and get it all nice and creamy. So I just didn't see the point in wasting this. It's going right in. Oops, had skin still attached, so I'll go back and get that off. We'll be right back. Okay, there we go. We have ended up with 2 pounds of cooked squash, in case you're needing a better guide. It's 1 pound, 15.8 ounces. So we're calling it 2 pounds. Oh, my nose was running so bad, my eyes are watering so bad, I can't even see what I'm doing. Ooh, that is 1 strong onion. We might only use half of that. So now I'm just going to get the bacon and chop it up. Okay, I just brought y'all all over here to the stove. Can't have y'all crying too. Ooh, goodness, I think that onion's so strong. I'm pretty sure it would make y'all cry on the other side of the camera. So what I'm doing is just taking the kitchen shears and just cutting the bacon into small pieces. And this is what I will use to cook the onion and celery in, so that I'm not adding any other oil to it. But if you would prefer to cook this ahead of time and drain it, that will be just fine. And just use some olive oil to cook your onions and celery. However you prefer to do it. I just like it as quick and easy as possible, messing up as little as possible. I tend to be lazy in the kitchen, y'all. The size doesn't matter. Because like I said, at the end, we're just going to blend it all up with the immersion blender. I'm just cutting it small just to get it done. All right, so there's that. I'm going to turn this on, put up the bacon and the scissors, and I'll be right back. And speaking of being lazy in the kitchen, y'all, if that's you too, I'll let you know. I went ahead and washed those scissors. That's the way I work in the kitchen, because if you sit those scissors down along with everything else and you let everything pile up at the end, you may end up with a big pile of dishes that you put off until tomorrow. So that's one of the secrets I've learned in the kitchen. Go ahead and clean up as you're cooking. That way you don't have a big mess at the end. You don't have a huge pile of dishes at the end that you put off and end up having a messy kitchen because of it. It's so much easier. Just go ahead and do it. So The pan's hot. I hear the bacon sizzling. So what I'm going to do is add the celery right in. And I cut those pieces really small. The onion, I did the best I could. I just couldn't see what I was doing. And I used a different knife. And y'all, that had me so out of sorts. I totally cut the onion a different way than I normally cut it. Couldn't even function. That's so silly. Right. So we're just going to do this until the onions and celery are tender and the bacon is done. In case you were curious about the rest of the pumpkin, I just took it out of the oven. I waited until that skin was nice and tender before I took it out. Now while this is continuing to cook, I just wanted to show you, I do have a 32-ounce carton of vegetable broth. You could use chicken. And when I'm cooking this, if I find that that's not enough, what I will do is add a little bit of water and a little bit of chicken bouillon base or chicken broth based seasoning by Orrington Farms. My favorite. Y'all see me use it a dozen times or more. And I'm also going to add a little bit of garlic, probably 2 teaspoons. I was cleaning out my pantry cabinets and organizing them, and I happened to find this. I didn't even know I had it. So go ahead and get that used up. I don't know if y'all can see down in here. I should have let the bacon release some of the fat first, but I didn't. I put it all in here together, and it was getting too brown on the bottom, or more brown than I would like. So I just put in just a little bit of water just to deglaze the bottom of this pan and to help get these vegetables and meat cooking. So there's a little tidbit if you need it. And that water will cook out, so there's nothing to worry about. It's not going to affect the bisque in the least little bit. Okay, I'm just going to take some of this garlic. 1, 2, about 2.5 teaspoons. Just give that a quick mix. Okay. Then we're going to add in the butternut squash. Whoops. Add in the vegetable broth. And we're just going to let this cook and simmer for about 15-20 minutes. One thing I am going to do is add in a little bit of salt, about a teaspoon, a little bit of pepper. This is just ground black pepper. Maybe 1/4 to 1/2 teaspoon. And then I'm not measuring this, but this is dried basil. You could use fresh if you have it. And a little bit of thyme. I happen to like thyme, so I may use more than you. And I don't have measurements, just whatever looks good. And there is the basis of the soup. Just let it simmer all together for a while. And then we'll use the blender and mix it all up. Okay, you all, I had to stop and run to the store because I didn't know we were out of cream and I had to go get some. So while I've been gone, the pumpkin's been sitting out and cooling off. So what I'm going to do is turn this on again so that it doesn't count the weight of the glass. And I'm going to scoop this pumpkin out into 15-ounce servings because if you were using pumpkin from a store, that can would weigh 15 ounces. I hope I got a big enough bag. And we're going to leave it just like this. I'm not even going to puree it. We'll do that whenever we make whatever we're making. And tomorrow it will be the pumpkin butter. And it will be just fine, just like this. Okay, we are at 12.5 ounces, almost there. $15, perfect. So all we have to do, take it out, shake it down. And I'm going to leave the bag open. It's still just a little bit warm. So when it's completely cool, I'll close the bag and put it in the refrigerator if I'm going to use it right away the next day. And if not, I'll label it and pop it into the freezer. And it will stay good for a really long time. I hope we actually have leftovers and I can use them for pumpkin pies at Thanksgiving. Oh, my hard work will be done. So let's just finish these up. Okay, here is our last bag. So in total, we ended up with 5 bags. Hello, pumpkin butter and pumpkin pies. I am so excited. So what do you say we go finish up the soup? Okay, y'all. Now, I just cheated. I just took a little nibble of this soup. Oh my goodness. This is so good. But we need to blend it up to make it smooth. So it's important. Make sure this bottom is either metal or you let the soup cool down. And keep the bottom part under the soup or else you're going to have a big hot mess all in your face. Okay, now mine is really thick after mixing it up. If yours is thick and you don't want it this thick, like I said, just add a little bit of chicken broth or more vegetable stock to it. It will be just fine. All right, so there we go. Last thing is to add cream. Just for the sake of the video, I could eat it just like this, honestly, but just for the sake of the video, I did add just a little bit of water. Just to loosen it a little bit. Y'all, this is so good. I've already tasted it. Oh my goodness. At this point, honestly, if you don't want to put cream in it, it's just fine. But I want to taste it both ways, so I'm putting cream in mine. I know what it tastes like without it. I want to see what it's like with it. Oh, isn't that so pretty? That just screams fall, y'all. Okay, now I'm using a heavy cream, but if you, because you know, go big or go home. But if you would prefer something lighter, use half and half. That will be just fine. Just going to pour a little in there. I don't have a measurement, just until it looks right to me, and that's just about right. Yeah, I think that's good. Oh, look how gorgeous, y'all. This looks like pumpkin. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay. What do you say we put some in a bowl? Okay, here we go. Now for supper, I'm going to serve this with some of the Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits. Oh, yum. And a piece of chicken. But if you didn't want to do that, you could eat this just like it is. Is that not gorgeous? Oh my goodness. But for the video's sake, I'm just going to put the little crostinis right there beside it. Y'all, I've made a total mess of my kitchen, but it's worth it. And before I do any more cleaning, I'm going to try this soup. Look at that. Isn't that so pretty? Okay. Y'all, go make this soup. You will not regret it. It's happy dance. If I didn't have hot soup in my hand, I would be doing the happy dance for you. Oh my goodness. So good. You guys, thank you so much for joining me. You know I love it when you come and spend a few minutes with me. So until we meet again, may you be blessed. Love you guys. Bye-bye.